feeding in such clear information to their system that they can make sense of. And I do it here, I do it here, I do it here, I do it here, and their system puts it together. I don't have to do it all. Takes a lot of responsibility off it. It's really nice. Okay. So, lie on your backs. All for nothing. So again, if we think of these two twin themes that we're working with all the time with people, we're thinking of the learning stream, about how people organise themselves to learn, which is just so fundamental to everything we're doing in the Feldenkrais method. And then the second stream is we're using movement, we're using organisation as our way in, and that we're getting clearer and clearer in ourselves. What are the things that tell us we're on track, that our organisation is improving? What are we looking for in ourselves and in other people to tell us that? So if you think about the ATMs that we've been doing this segment, can you remember what the first lesson was? The eyes, yeah. There was the telescope eyes. It was beginning with that telescope eyes and beginning to feel with that telescope eye that you could begin to sort of mobilise yourself. Second one was on about rolling to the side. Do you remember that? And involving all of yourself in the image of the movement. We sort of did things of rolling your hand, rolling your head and bending your knees, and what your chest, what your arms were doing. So we gradually included more and more of yourself in the image of being able to shift your weight to roll to the side. Third one was when we included the arm, it started to include the arms in that. So that was more than the sweeping of the arm, of your arm up to the side, which ended with you fully lying on your side. And as I go through these, what do you remember? Is it in your sensation you remember this? Or do you more imagine it in the movement, that you imagine doing some of these movements? Or it's in your thinking, that you see sort of outside yourself, or that you're going, oh yeah, we did that. Or is it a feeling that you remember that, oh, that was really easy, I really enjoyed that, or I didn't like that one very much, or and probably a mix of all of those. And then we did the lifting your pelvis and exploring those arcs of pressure around your upper back. Finding how you could shift your weight to a different part of yourself rather than just on your pelvis. Exploring. So we've been exploring lots of ways of shifting your weight, redistributing your weight. That's one lens you could look at what we've been doing. And then yesterday, we did that whole exploration in the morning about trying to see what a baby, when it's got limited movement, limited possibilities, how it has to move and how it has to find these abilities to move in these different planes, to find these different movements through its middle that help to free its limbs free its head to be able to roll itself, to move across the ground, to gradually get to where its head can be in the middle. And everything's got a lot of variation on how it can move underneath that. So bend your knees, bring them to standing. And find a place for your feet where your pelvis feels light. So find a place for your feet. So you're going to ask yourself a question: where could my feet be that my pelvis feels like it could lighten really easily? So you know, to lighten a part of yourself, hopefully you're really getting this now, your weight needs to redistribute or move somewhere. So at the moment you've got a little bit of, if you're lying on the ground and you've got contact of your pelvis on the floor, it's got weight on it. So this is the challenge that the baby's always doing, and that many of us still have difficulties doing, that finding that for something to become light, the weight must come off it. Because if there's even a little bit of weight on it, it's going to feel heavy. And just feel, where are the other parts of you that can take weight? And obviously we've bent your legs to allow your feet to be a big part of that equation. So where do you want your feet to be? How wide? And one of the interesting things I've found with teaching ATM, and I mean this with my clients, you know, just in one-on-one, that if I start to give them a little bit of an understanding of why we're asking them to, why I'm asking them to explore this, they're much more likely to explore and to be curious if I give them a reason. So now, feel in that position, wherever you've finished with your feet, lift your pelvis a little bit off the ground. So it had to be light, you've lifted it. And feel, could you still easily in that position take your knees in and out a little bit? So your knees can come a little together, a little apart. So you know you haven't locked into your hip joints to do this. So you know you haven't just sort of gripped your hips, gripped your pelvis and lifted, but your hips are still free to move in a little bit and out a little bit. And then gradually lift a little higher, always feeling my hips are free. So, and always feeling as I lift higher that I'm still redistributing my weight. I'm still finding somewhere that's available to shift my weight to. For some of you, it might be a little bit more down onto your feet. Makes more sense that your knees go a little bit more forward so that you can redistribute a little bit more weight to your feet. And for some of you, you've already got a fair bit of weight on your feet and you're redistributing it a little bit more in your upper back and in your shoulders. So it's such a personal thing that we're doing here, that you're finding for yourself, where are the bits? that I can still move my weight a little. And come down and have a rest. So the other day when Lisa taught this, we were doing this, and remember it was very much about if it was at all possible to hold your head up. As we were doing this, so the lesson was set up with lifting your head, lifting your pelvis. And one of the interesting things about the way the nervous system works is when we were lifting our heads, for, I would say, nearly everyone, to lift your head is really hard work. And part of that is because your flexors aren't as used. The muscles on the front of you probably aren't as used to holding you up. And that's because generally they're longer muscles. Whereas the muscles at the spine, it's much easier because you've got lots of little segmental muscles that are going from one vertebra to the next. So that was giving you an opportunity. As I said, the nervous system works by, if you hold a contraction in a muscle, you get a maximal relaxation or lengthening in its opposite partner. So that often Feldenkrais will use this, even though it's work, and we were modifying it a little bit if it was way too hard, if you had to hold your breath, by gently supporting your head a little. But there's something about that you also get a change by making a muscle work to its full capacity, making it hold on, that then allows something to happen in its opposite number, so that many of you felt at the end of that lesson that your necks felt a lot longer. And what is it about reducing that habitual tone at the back of our necks, letting our neck get longer, that allows us to find, because if our neck's longer, it means the vertebra are more available for movement. There's just more space to feel that I've got neck vertebra. Whereas if the bigger muscles are holding me short, there's just no space. So we got your neck longer. And what does that allow you then for you to find in your upper your upper back, that, as Lisa said, this is the area that for so many of us doesn't do a lot of movement. So bend your legs up again. Again, find that position where your pelvis is light. You can feel it's ready to lift. And lift it. Begin to roll up towards your upper back, and see if you can feel it's a little bit easier now for your neck to lengthen. There's something about, as you roll up, that the back of your neck just begins to give up its work, and your chin begins to slide. So you don't have to lift your head now. You can remember what it felt like, but you're not lifting your head. You're letting your head stay on the floor, and you're feeling the responsiveness that can now happen in your neck, in that distance between your chin at the front and your top of your sternum, and at the back of your neck between the skull at the back and the base of your neck. That those distances can change as you lift your pelvis. The other thing that was clever about that lesson by lifting your head is that it was also stopping you from increasing the pressure on your head. So feel what happens, and this is what a lot of people do initially when they lift their heads. They push the back of their head into the floor. So what happens if, as you lift your pelvis, you increase the weight on the back of your head? That's where you choose to shift your weight to. So again, it's a very clever device he's doing to stop that, because he's keeping your head off the floor. So he's demanding that you find somewhere else to shift your weight to. Or is it demanding, or he's giving you the opportunity to find somewhere else to shift your weight to? So again, as you lift your pelvis now, feel how your head can be free. It's not having to press into the ground as you lift. It can stay light. It might not be ready to lift, but it's got the ability to change its shape. And this ability for our neck to be able to soft and change its shape, again, is really fundamental to organisation. So again, go up and very gently begin to do that arc of pressure, going from your upper back, across to your right shoulder, down the right shoulder blade, across your back, and notice what you do with your pelvis as you do this. So are you leading a lot of movement from the pelvis, which is absolutely fine, but could you begin to get a sense that I can initiate this movement from my upper back? You could initiate the movement from your upper back. So you're initiating the movement by rolling a little bit across. And that everything's responding to that. And again, you may not be able to do that. And that's an inquiry. I can't get that yet. And my little crackpot theory, and I don't know how I'd ever prove this, is that when we talk about our self-image, when we talk about this ability that we're expanding our self-image, it's not until we can initiate the movement from an area of ourselves that we're really beginning to get a handle on it. You know? That there's something in our cortex that has gone, yeah, I could just lead this movement from here. It's so clear in my image. It's so coloured in. It's got so many associations to so many other parts of myself. And begin to see that it's really nice. Notice that for many of you, as you begin to initiate now more from your upper back, that your pelvis isn't doing as much rotation. That your pelvis is sort of staying, if you like, a little bit more horizontal and doing this sort of circle rather than a pivot. So just really notice how the orientations change depending on the demands we're putting into the system. And again, these are movements that pick up our biases, that as you start to know what more to look for, you start to see on people that some people, to do this, always have to turn their head. If their head starts moving, but to do this, they'll always turn their head. Their nose will go toward the left, it'll go toward the right, it'll turn. Other people will start to side bend their head. Other people will do a little bit of try it, Philippa. A lot of people are doing it from their pelvis with rotation. So it's not so much, it's you see their biases. But generally, because of the constraint of the position you're in, it isn't quite as easy to turn this as it is to do that, to find the ground. So I'm getting into fine detail here, which might not be too helpful for some of you. Because again, the big thing is that you're going to give a person an experience of learning, that they're exploring, including more and more of their self in their image, looking for quality. Because that's what so many ATMs are about. They're giving us the opportunity to feel something in a way that we don't normally do it. That's what constraints are. And they're, we talk about constraints and we think, oh, they have to be very fixed. Having you on the ground in this position is a constraint to what is easy to move in your upper back. So Feldenkrais was the master, I think, of working out what position can I put someone in that's novel, something they don't normally do, then they can be given the opportunity. It doesn't mean they'll get it. But you've given them the opportunity, if they've got that inquiring mind, to find something in themselves. So that you can really, and notice for you at the moment, you could do this movement of circling, doing these circles around, and your head could be moving through space in lots of different directions. And so that I know that as someone gets more organised, they could actually keep their head in the middle, and I mean their skull, not their neck, and that everything could move under their neck, under their skull, as they get more organised. But for many people, when you're first starting to teach these lessons, because we so much brace in our neck and shoulders to do with efforting and doing, let alone in our belly, that often you've got to let something move there, let the head move as a limb. Think of it as a limb responding just as the arms and the legs are. And again, that's what a baby had to do. It had to let its head move through space to find all of these different movements through its torso that finally lets it keep its head more in the middle. Okay, have a pause. Jen, we can start the video now. So again, as Feldenkrais is going to start teaching now, just keep remembering this weight shift. You keep remembering my hips are free.